Hey, what's up, Sports Talk Detroit? If you don't know us, I'm Craig. That's Chris. And we love talking Detroit sports, especially the Lions. And today we are going to do a draft profile. And we are going to be talking about Kyle Hamiliton, safety out of Notre Dame. If you haven't seen Mock Draft 2.0, go watch it. I picked him up in that mock draft. I think it was 2.0. I hope it was. And you can see why. And now we're going to start talking about him. We're going to start developing and talking more in depth about different players, who the Detroit Lions could pick. This one is a possibility with the number 2 pick. Don't you think, Chris?
Oh, for sure. And the more you look into them, the more you're like, I'm comfortable with that. I mean, if you would
Yeah,
hear that a couple months ago, it's like, but you look into this guy and he keeps rising, and it's like, well,
yes.
that's why we want to do this. So we look at him. Let me just start with it, Craig, and I'll throw it back to you a little bit.
Hit it.
He's 6'4", 240. Okay, so
220.
that's 220. Yeah, he's
Yes.
6'4", 400
240.
pounds.
Oh, he's a linebacker.
Yeah, he can fly. He's fine. He's great. That is kind of like, I didn't look at Sean Taylor's size, but I used to love Sean Taylor. He's one of my first like non-Detroit players that I just like, look at this guy.
Benny Blades wasn't doing it for you. Got it.
No, I'm like, look at this guy. He's huge. He's fast. And that's what Kyle Hamiliton looks like. So, his stats are kind of whatever. He's a safety, he's a DB. So it doesn't show the whole picture by any means. So he's got the size, the range. And when I watch highlights and stuff, a lot of them was from his freshman year. He was hurt this year. And then COVID last year. So he hasn't played a whole lot. And I love that. And I love that. So he hasn't played a lot. He's fresh. He's big. He was in the box a lot. He was back, rangy. I mean, this guy is the real deal.
The word for sure.
He's a top 10 pick. He's a top 5 pick. I mean, it's just a versatile thing that it'd be so cool to see him and what our defensive coordinator could do with Aaron Glenn could do with him. Cause a lot of his highlights, he was up in the box, but then it was crazy because you don't see like the all 22 view of highlights and stuff, but he's in the box, like creeping up. And then there's a long throw down the middle and he breaks it up and just stuff like that where you're like,
how'd he get there?
Yeah, exactly. So I just love him. That's my just kind of overall, like, this guy is for real. He's a freak and he looks great out there. So Craig, what do you think of him?
I think that's great. I broke it up a little more. And the first one that you were talking about just kind of speaks to his IQ. When I'm watching film on him, I see a couple of things. I feel like his IQ is through the roof because he plays fast. He has quick hips, as I like to call it. And so it means he's not thinking. He's not thinking. He's just doing. And he processes things at a very quick rate. He plays fast, but he has the ability to do something that not a lot of players have, which is the ability to play slow when he needs to do it. He can play fast in response, but he can slow play the quarterback and do things that you've never seen. He often is beating linebackers to the point of attack.
Yeah.
When he's tackling the running back, even though he's lined up 4, 5, 6 yards behind them. I mean, it just speaks to his explosiveness, but also just it's up here. He sees the play going and developing. Great size, great speed, make him a good tackler. He can cover tight ends. He can play in the nickel. So darn versatile. And when we talk about versatility, like when I was watching tape, I even wrote it down. I mean, like, he can do almost anything. He can play the deep post safety where he can go on that route. He can be the robber. He could play will linebacker at times if you need him to in a nickel or a dime. In a dime, he can come up into the box. He can play nickel corner. He can even walk up to the line of scrimmage. I've seen him do that too. Like, I mean, you can put this guy all over the field and he has phenomenal range. I think the one that stood out to me, and I've talked about this in the mock draft 2.0, was when he was on the opposite hash when the ball was released and he made it all the way across the field to break up a pass. Like, that's Madden 22 stuff that you throw your controller on the ground and be like, this is fake. The game is fake and it's not real because the DB could never get there. But Kyle Hamiliton can get there. And I understand it translates differently to an NFL field, but he was doing it. And the guy is dynamic. He even plays special teams in college. And I don't think you'd have him play special teams as a number 2 pick, but like, dang, he's as close as you get to a no doubter. As close as you get.
He really is. And then you start looking at him like, all right, well, what if we did draft him? And, safety, geez, man.
I know at 2.
Yeah. It's like, I don't love it, but then but then what you look at is like, hey, he's a safety. You said it in nickel packages. Now he's a linebacker. And what we're
Yep.
looking for in that number 2 pick is, well, at least what I always think is like, you got to be on the field. You got to make plays. And at D end,
All the
we've got our pick at the D ends. It's kind of like the Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell thing last year, where it's like he's on the line. Penei Sewell's on the line. He's never going to score any touchdowns, whatever. He's
Yeah,
not going to make plays. He's only going to prevent bad things from happening, basically.
absolutely.
Where Kyle Hamilton, it's kind of like, if we take a D end, hey, go rush the passer, where this guy's all over. He's making tackles. He's in coverage. He's, you just name all the different things. So it's like, I don't feel as bad with a safety in the number 2 pick when you just look at this guy's versatile. He's huge. He's fast. It's like you're getting a defensive player. And I don't know if you agree with this or not, but it seems like the NFL is going so much more, I don't want to say positionless. That's a bad, but it's more like, hey, just go match up with that guy. It's like, well, I'm a safety. I don't care. Go, safety just to be too deep. That's just where you play.
Yeah.
No, go stand over there and guard that tight end. Like that's who you got all game. And you don't pretend to, you just go and do it now. You match up. So it's like, I love
the NFL
this
is becoming, you're right, much more matchup based in defensive schemes. And when you have guys that are not just a Swiss Army knife, I don't like the term Swiss Army knife because it has a bad connotation to it. Because when you think about a Swiss Army knife, it does everything, but it does nothing very well.
Yep.
And I think if you can have a guy like this who does everything well, that changes the game. So it still is nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking anytime you go defense this high, because I feel like defense is a more higher bust in the top 10 than offense is. And I'm still licking my wounds from Okudah 2 years ago at number 3. So going another DB in a position that's not even considered as important, I don't know, but I will say this. The truly dominant defenses that we've seen throughout the year, yes, they usually have a good pass rush, of course, but they also usually have a dominant safety as well.
Yes.
You talk about the Ravens. Yeah, sure, they had Ray Lewis at linebacker, but they had Ed Reed in the back. Right. And same when you think about the Seahawks and their run to greatness and all the teams that they had. I think about the Tyrann Matthews of the world. Yep. I know he was not with the Seahawks, but like what he can do for a defense.
Even like Eric Berry at the Chiefs, like this kind of weird good guy that was good. And
Troy Polamalu with the Steelers all those years. I didn't even think the guy could run. Like he can't even run, and yet he's this great safety. So imagine if you get that, but he can run. So I think Kyle Hamilton is he's a good player. Do you have anything else that you want to add? Like I wouldn't be mad if we did it at 2. If we pick him at 2, I just wish we would have traded down to 4.
Exactly. And that's the spot. And anybody that picks up there, obviously we can help where we pick. We want to win games, but we can't help that we're that high. You got to pick somebody. And you're in bust zone for sure there, because you got to be great. Otherwise you're a bust.
Yes.
And you're like, the odds are it's hard to do this, hard to draft, but I would not be upset if we took him at 2, just because I saw Aaron Glenn do so many cool things. You can tell he's innovative as well. It's like, man, what could he do with Kyle Hamilton? I haven't been excited for a defensive player in a while. If we took him, I'd be fine with it.
Him and Tracy Walker in the back end would be very, very good. But if you take him at 2, he better be by year 1 or 2, like a top 3 safety in the league.
Yeah.
Like that's how good it has to be. It can't be like if you pick Hutchinson at 2, he could be like, a top 10 defensive end, and you kind of got what you thought you'd get. So anyways, I feel good about what you said. I got nothing else. I think it's time to end this video. Thanks for hanging on this long. If you did, please hit that subscribe button. It's super helpful to us. And we always appreciate any comments you have. What do you think about Kyle Hamilton? Are we grading him too high? Because we think he's almost a can't miss prospect. Let us know in the comments. Go Lions.